going to be doing a tutorial on the X32 here in Ritchie Auditorium. So first off, we're going to be going over the basics of the board. First things first, the power in the back. It's on this side here. You flip it up and then we'll wait for it to turn on. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go into scenes view. And then we're going to go to scenes. Now, this is what you do when you first get here. You're going to load from base. Never save to base. Load from base. And you're going to say, yes, that's okay. That's going to overwrite everything you just did with the base settings. Now, should you for some reason overwrite base, please don't ever do that. But should you for some reason do that, there was a tech who had this fear of doing that. So what I did was I made this little thing at the bottom here called backup base. And this should be an exact copy of base unless base has changed since I made this video. It's not on auto, but it's on balcony mixer. That's very important because if it's on auto, it's going to be hitting the house only. And what you should actually do is before doing any patching upstairs, you should turn it to balcony mixer. The reason for doing this is when you patch in to like a microphone like this one, that's a house auto microphone. If you patch into this and you're hitting the house while you're patching in, you are disrupting that feed, which will cause noise in the house or could potentially cause noise in the house. Okay, cords here. We're going to pick up our cords and we're going to patch them into the board inputs. Wherever you patch it here, it's going to find its place on the board. Now, if you don't find it on the board there, what you should do is you should check the cords in the back. Make sure that the cord numbers correspond to the numbers of the inputs. If somebody had a special event the time before where they had to unplug it and plug something else in, they might have left it unplugged. They shouldn't do that. If you have an event, don't leave it unplugged. But it could happen. You have your traditional 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to be on the one side. 17, 18, 19, 20. That's going to be in the middle. 27, 20, 29, 30. That's going to be on the right. And it's nice. Stage right, stage left. Very nice. Your handhelds, 1 and 2, they are separate. Your lapels, your catwalks, and those are your high up mics. Those are your audience mics. And these do need phantom power. Your stage left and your stage right mics. You have 2 wall mics as well. If you look on either side of the auditorium as you're going in, you do have 2 wall mics. You have some stage right mics, inputs, anyway. And the digital snake, that is a tutorial for another time. These 3 red cables are how you do monitor feeds. Leave these plugged in when you're done. Unplug the black ones, but leave the red ones plugged in. And those should be in 10, 20, 30 here, going to auxiliary 1, 2, and 3. And that again is 10 going to 3, 20 going to 2, and 1 going to 30. Actually here already plugged in my lapel to board input 1, so we're going to be doing some playing around with that today. Now as you can see, I can see my level on the board there. Should my level be a little bit too degraded or too extremely low, it might be the sender itself. And what you should do is you should check the battery levels. You should also check the gain here. You can set the gain on each of these mics individually. So for example, I can turn it up. This one's all the way up already. I might turn that just a little bit down so that it's transmitting not at its peak, because usually the peak of any system is going to degrade the quality of it slightly. As you'll hear me say very often, you have above 0 on these boards here, gap above 0, but please, oh please, don't leave it up there. You can adjust the gain on this, and that'll raise the volume. Please don't adjust it there. It's nice to leave it right there, and I am broadcasting to the house right now. Check, check, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Mute. Very nice to have. Okay. Also mute for the master. Don't use that. That'll be annoying. If you turn that on, the whole system will go dead. You have to have the master on, and we can see that by main PAC. That has to be on. So now I know that I'm actually transmitting whatever hits this channel to the speakers overhead. This one is going to hit this system. So this one's going to be sending on this system here. And you probably should know this from any traditional board. But just so you know, this board's a little bit unique in that it has 32 channels, but only 16 on this page. And then if you press this button, it'll go to the next page. And now if you see it doesn't start at 1 anymore, it starts at 17 and goes to 32. You can select from this one or that one, and as you can see, you can save the locations of it. And we have 2 more pages down here. This one's auxiliary page. This one's usually the computer, and that's going to be your little headphone jack here. I don't like to call it a headphone jack. Learn that this is an 1/8 inch. You have your sound effects rack here. We can go right back to our channel 1 and show you how to edit a person's sound. So currently I can see my voice here on the board. I do that by going here to home. I select the channel down here, and then I go and I page over to where it says EQ, and now I can see this whole system right here. Okay, now if I get a ton down here, that is probably negative, or not negative, low end feedback. If I get a ton up here, that's going to be high end feedback, and that's usually going to hit all the way up. It's going to be really annoying, really ear pitching. The way that we would get rid of that is we can manipulate the EQ in order to get around that. You don't have to, except for with microphones though, because if something's, the only time you get those feedback systems is when something is hitting a microphone and it's hitting back to the house, and it's hitting that same microphone again, and hitting back to the house and hitting that same microphone, and you get this loop of audio, and they'll slowly change the pitch of that audio. A good way to get rid of that is simply to mute. Like, you'll see it. You'll be very easily able to see whichever one goes really high. Just mute that one for a second. Leave it muted, and then it'll just die out, turn it back on, and hopefully, if you still have to resolve the problem, but that'll fix the temporary situation. So you can play around with the EQ here. I'm just going to show you how to set general things. So we're going to go to library right here, press that in, and now we can scroll down through here. And what this will do is this will set effects for our channel. Like, for instance, if I wanted a female vocalist, so now this is set for a female vocalist. However, this one has been specifically set for a female. They've entirely ignored the low end, so even my voice will be able to set it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to actually go down to the bottom. I made a setting for everyone to be able to use here. It's a nice setting. It's made for people who don't even really need to know how to use their microphone. Because that one for female singers that I told you about, that's only for ones who actually know what they're doing, like really well. Really well. This one, again, the load, do not hit save unless you want to save a preset, and then you'll be able to name it and everything. I'm going to hit yes. And now, check 1 2. Check 1 2. I now have some very nice systems that I'm going to show you. I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to go back to the EQ, and as you can see now, I have some protectors on these sides that's going to help protect from high-end feedback and low-end feedback. It's also going to hit some nice points here that, well, not nice points, it's actually opposite of nice. Usually these points cause problems in general voices. Every voice is slightly different, however, this is a good setting to have for most situations. And if you do end up getting some problems, like I'm going to try to get some low-end feedback here, like this, I'm just going to kill that off. You notice that those were resonating in the 180 area. You can easily just get rid of that. Like, this is a worst case scenario. You really shouldn't have to be blocking off frequencies. You can if you need to, but you really shouldn't have to. We can actually show some music on the board. You remember I showed you guys how to run the cable, the audio cable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that into my phone, actually. So now I have this playing, and I'm actually going to change that song. This is what that looks like. I just selected the feed here, and now I'm looking at this. Now, when you have a feed coming from a source like this, you don't have to worry about getting feedback because this isn't taking in any input, okay? You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about getting feedback. What you should be worried about, though, is the volume. Is the volume turned all the way up? You don't want it turned all the way up. Turn about half, because if this volume's turned all the way up, that means that this device is sending out the maximum of its levels, and it is not going to be sending out the best quality. It's going to be sending out the loudest it can. We're going to have it hit our system now. And now I'm just going to adjust the gain here. This is also should be a note to everyone about the kind of music that you play to test the system. Play something that you know. Play something that is not modern. Modern music likes to have a lot of, if you'll notice the bass in this, I don't know if you can tell that, but it sounds like the bass is blown slightly. Like it's not, there's something wrong with that bass for our system. It sounds like it's not hitting the system quite right. But I happen to know, because I had listened to this kind of music, that that is how that song is supposed to sound. I wouldn't test the system with this music because you won't get an accurate response. And you know, if you actually do need a little bit louder, you can amplify it here, but again, don't go all the way up. So I'm going to go to like 75% there. I'm definitely loud enough. Now I have like a lot of room here to play around with. The next thing I'm going to show you is, you may have noticed that I only had to push one of these. These are what are called linked channels. Okay, this is a right and a left, or sorry, that might be the other way around. Right, I think. I don't know. I don't honestly care. You can find out for yourself and tell me sometime. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link, let's say, 3 and 4, channels 3 and 4 together. So this would be used like if you had a left and a right of a feed that you wanted displayed and you didn't know exactly how to do that. This would be a good way to do it because you are not only linking the two sliders, you are linking the gains, you are linking the mutes, you are linking the EQ. You are linking pretty much everything except for like the scribble script of it, which is the will display here. We'll get to that later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press select on the one, select on the other, and of course I have to be home to do this. So press home, get back, and then press link. I'll ask you, do you want to link channels 3 and channels 4? I'm going to say yes, I do. Okay, now 3 and 4 are linked. You do not, repeat, not want to do this. The reason you don't want to do that is they will fight you. Within things that happen in Ritchie, know for your events that this room can handle a lot of people on its Wi-Fi. It cannot handle everyone in the room on its Wi-Fi.